Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 action thriller Killers Anonymous, a film that is directed by Martin Owen and it stars a number of recognisable faces, but most notably we have Gary Oldman, Jessica Alba, Tommy Flanagan, Suki Waterhouse and Michael Socha. Now this is a film with quite a unique concept that's going on, and essentially imagine Alcoholics Anonymous but for killers, hitmen, contract killers, and that is basically what you have here with this film. It is a film that focuses on a support group for killers, where they meet regular once a week I believe it is, and then they talk about their desires to kill and what prevents them from going through with it, etc, etc. However, there is a storyline, an undercurrent going through it, where there's a senator, there has been a failed assassination attempt on a US senator. There may be CIA involvement, there may be Russian involvement, and it all leads back to this support group for these killers. So that's essentially the basic concept of this story. Now, this film has a lot of pros and quite a few cons. I'll go through both. The pros first. It's actually a very interesting and stylised film visually. It's very interesting to look at, and it's got these vibrant colours going on throughout it, and it's quite a modern take on the film, and it's been filmed quite nicely. It looks very polished, and it's littered with impressive performances by top quality actors throughout. It's an original idea. I've not really seen anything like this before. Not strictly like this, similar maybe. And I'm going to give it a really good compliment here. There are times when it almost becomes Tarantino-like in some of the conversations that take place between these characters, sat in this support group. The way they talk, the way they communicate, some of the camera shots, some of the stylized action that takes place, it almost becomes Tarantino-like in parts, and it will remind you of Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. Not as good a quality as that, but it does have moments where you do think of Tarantino. Well, I did anyway. The main issues with this film are there's a damn confusing plot line going throughout it. I mentioned that there's a plot line with a US senator with an assassination attempt that all links back to this Killers Anonymous group, and it just doesn't make sense, doesn't really tie it up by the end of the film. It's just confusing and frustrating, and it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers, which may have been the point, but I just think this plot that was threaded throughout it, I don't think the film needed it, if I'm honest. The film was at its strongest when you just had these characters in this room talking about them, their desire to kill, some of the kills they have done, and it kind of visualises it and shows you what they've done in the past and things, and that really worked. But the rest of it was poorly constructed and rushed, and I'm sorry to say, the two main stars that you have here, Jessica Alba and Gary Oldman, are barely in the bloody film. Gary Oldman is in it longer than Jessica Alba, but if you timed his screen time on this film, I bet it doesn't go above 10 minutes. Jessica Alba 5 minutes, maybe a bit longer for both of them, give or take. It's just not enough. However, the other actors on screen, my apologies, do make up for it. There's a great performance as well by Mayanna Buring as Joanna, who's been in films like The Descent and stuff. She kind of plays like the organizer, the group leader at this Killers Anonymous. She's like dressed like a priest. Very interesting character. In fact, they were all interesting characters in this group. They all had interesting stories that I wanted to hear about. Tim McInerney was there as well. He was one of the killers. He played like a psycho doctor, and really fascinating to listen to them and to listen to their stories. But every time it delves its feet into this assassination attempt with this US senator, and then there's talk of the CIA involvement and Russian involvement, and then it all gets a bit frustrating for me, and it overly complicated a film that didn't need to be as complicated as it was, as they made out. And it almost felt like by the end, the only reason Gary Oldman was in this film, it felt pride in it, almost like, we'll never get Gary Oldman for this, forget about it. And then it maybe showed an interest, and maybe they wrote this character to put it in. I genuinely don't know, or maybe it was just a quick buck for Gary Oldman, who knows. But his character didn't really need to be in the film. No, not especially. Or Jessica Alba. It's one of those situations where it was probably an opportunity to get some stars' names on the sleeve, to get interest up on the film. But it's nothing special. So there were lots of pros, lots of cons. Interesting to look at. Very polished. Good performances. Interesting idea. Interesting concept. Quite stylised, but the plot itself is a bit null and void. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's watchable for sure, and a decent attempt at an interesting action thriller, worth checking out if it sounds interesting to you. So that's my review for Killers Anonymous. I hope you enjoyed it, and of course I'll see you next time on Screen Stars.